Hey, hello, and welcome. I am Debbie Peterson of Getting to Clarity, and this is another episode of the Getting to Clarity podcast, where busy women leaders come to listen to my guests and myself share tips, tools, and techniques so that you can create more success in your leadership with less sacrifice to your life. And I'm really excited today as I've got a friend and a colleague of mine, Sheri Fitts. And let me tell you just a little bit about Sheri before she starts expounding on the wisdom that she has to share with you. Sheri is the founder and CEO. She is a compelling public speaker and financial services marketing, sales, and brand guru. And her mission is to amplify the heart of financial services, something that is very much needed. Sheri harnesses the power of emotional connection to help professionals create more trust and connection in their business relationships and make their engagements more meaningful to their businesses, as well as their careers and their bottom line. So all three, trifecta. Her deep expertise in the financial services industry gained over nearly 30 years on both the buy and sell side, as well as starting two companies, not one, but two companies, gives her special insight into what drives human behavior and sales. So you'll want to tune into this. Her latest industry innovation is digital EQ. So, and that is trademark, digital EQ, and that is digital emotional intelligence. And it is Sheri's highly personalized methodology to helping professionals and organizations compete with thought leadership, branding, marketing, powerful presentations, and more. So, Sheri, welcome to the Getting to Clarity podcast. And thank you so much for being here.
I was just telling you, Debbie, before we turned on record, how much I enjoy listening to your voice. And so now I get to have your voice as my bio. So thank you. It's awesome to be here. I appreciate it. And I'm so looking forward to just chatting with you and everyone today. So thanks for having me.
Absolutely. I appreciate you being here. So, where I'd like to start is to have you share some about yourself with the audience and really thinking about, what got you to where you are today? Can you fill in a little bit of that background?
Sure. So I was Paper Girl of the Year in 1976.
Nice.
So there's that. I've always worked in a male dominated industry. That's what I like to say. And I started in communications very early, obviously, in sales and marketing. Too funny. But actually, I've been working in financial services for most of my career. That nearly 30 years, Debbie is 30 years. I would say if I look back. So I've been working in financial services for that time. I started as a graphic designer, and I suppose the pivot point or the place that my career and my belief in my abilities really changed was in 1998 when I'd been working for a company for 4 years as a graphic designer, creating employee education and communication materials for the 401k world. Now, for those of you who might know about that, in the 401k world, it used to be before big companies like Fidelity and Principal had people doing that. So I created those materials, and through a lot of variety and change in the organization, I ended up de facto head of a subsidiary in my, I would say, mid to late 30s, I guess, is when it was. And which was super cool as an opportunity because, I got a chance to run a business using someone else's money, which is always more fun.
It is.
And right. And what happened was I ended up as this de facto head because one of the partners ended up leaving the business. And so I had a department, I had a subsidiary, and I had no salesperson. And so I was out there looking for a salesperson to hire a salesperson. And two of my colleagues came to me and said, Sheri, why are you hiring somebody? Why don't you be that person? And I went, oh. And so I stepped into sales, which people who know me look at me as a marketing person because I've been in I lead, I marketing's what I've done a
Mm-hmm.
lot. And how I ended up getting into marketing was because I had a sales goal.
Mm.
So that was back in 1998, and I had no marketing money because my boss is the kind of person who would call up Phil Knight, like cold call him, who needed marketing money, in the 90s. And so what did I do? Because I had a sales goal and a nationwide footprint, I started doing digital marketing,
Okay.
which in 1998 did not exist.
No, it
So
didn't.
I started doing email marketing. I did email marketing in 1998. Um, so fast forward, I worked for a bank, I worked for an insurance company, I worked for a broker dealer, and then I got my AARP card. And I had been saying for a little bit of time, wow, when I grow up, I want to be a speaker and do my own thing. And then, when you get your AARP card in the mail, someone
It's like,
knows you're over 50,
it's
right?
time.
Ah, I'm grown up. So that's when I started my own business in December of 2012.
So it is
Yeah.
never too late.
No, absolutely. I
It is never
think,
too late.
yeah, never.
Yeah.
Mm-mm, mm-mm.
So let me ask you, the theme here is to really help busy women leaders, emerging leaders, to get tips about creating more success in their life. But not everybody really knows what success means to them. They aspire to it, they chase it, but when you ask them, what does it mean to you? Sometimes they don't know. I would love if you would share your definition of success. So what does success mean to you, Sheri Fitts?
Success means to me, Debbie, freedom of time.
Mm.
And so interestingly, notice how money's not on there, which I would say perhaps maybe I might want to revisit it. So, but success for me, and I remember saying this, I mean, I left a golden handcuffs job
Mm-hmm.
and created my own firm and cut my salary in half. And I remember telling somebody early on, I said, I get to pick, you know, um, I get to, I get to I have time and I have freedom and you know, I have space in my life. And so truly what success for me means is creating a business and creating a daily practice that first serves me and primarily my body,
Mm-hmm.
working on the mind part, but moving my body every day, being able to do that is essential to my sanity. So
And your soul, I would imagine,
mm-hmm,
considering
mm-hmm.
some of the health challenges that you've had, and
Yeah.
and being able, to do that. And it's interesting that you said notice money isn't at what I talked about when I said success. At,
Yeah.
and the interesting thing is money can be a motivator, but it's generally not a long-term motivator.
Yeah.
Because I think that a lot of us have been in places where you got a good job, you're making good money, you got good benefits, and you are miserable. I know
Oh,
I've been there.
indeed.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's no secret that financial services is a male-dominated industry. And
Yes.
I'll tell you that one of the things I would say when I left my job was that one of the things that I had to do every day was put my armor on.
Mm.
That I really physically felt that armor on my body and in my psyche and in my creativity. I felt as if every day I was going into battle, and frankly, literally going into battle. And it was a very political environment and
Mhm.
organization that I work for. And I would butt up against colleagues who were men in more powerful positions. And it was, heart destroying. So,
And
uh,
heavy to do. I mean, that takes a lot of
oh,
energy to carry
it
all of that around.
it was my perfect. It was like if you could have designed a job for me, it was a perfect job. It was coming in right after an acquisition. It was a blank slate. There was a lot to get done. Build a team, point a direction, bust ass, all that kind of stuff I loved. And then And then it also was just so significantly challenging. And so, there were a couple things at play. One, a dream that I
Mm-hmm.
had of, doing my own thing. But then also two, just going, this isn't success for me anymore.
Right. Right.
Right.
Anymore. And that's a key word too, because what we define as success, maybe either intentionally or unintentionally, knowing it or not knowing it when we're younger, changes as we evolve in our life. As we get to different stages in life, success means something different.
Yeah,
And so it's
totally.
not a one and done.
No.
Mm-mm.
And, I would say that in the 10 years that I've had my business, this is 2022 will be like going on the 10th year, or into the 10th year. And that business, I've created two businesses because one business I left and I said, clearly, let me just restate what I said. I want to be a speaker and do my own thing.
Mm-hmm.
Curiously, I created a creative services firm.
Okay.
So, which did marketing and branding,
Yeah.
right? And something very easy for me to step into
Okay.
because I could do it in my sleep. And what I find very curious about the whole thing is it took me until 2020 to have the courage to say, whoa. I mean, I closed down the marketing and branding firm in 2016, yet the brand remained. I hid behind marketing and branding. The speaking was like I hid. And
Okay.
so it took me
Is
until
it
this
playing
past.
it safe?
Oh gosh, yeah,
Okay.
totally, right?
Mm-hmm.
Never fully leaning into the speaker part of who I am. And
Okay.
so I'm in the process of, there's a new website coming out, and that new website is 100% me.
Okay.
No marketing, no branding, no hiding behind anything. It's 100% me as a speaker. Yeah.
So do you think that was a story in that? And the reason I asked that is because your gut, your heart was telling you, I want to be a speaker and I want to do my own thing. Yeah. And I go out and I start a marketing and branding company. Um, so did you just get to the point where it's like, okay, I'm going to hide behind this. I'm going to play it safe because I know this is something that I can do? Or were you approaching it as this is a good first step to get to the speaking?
I'm not really quite sure. I could say a lot of different things. And, if I look back on it, the story that I say is that I was hiding behind it. However, I love my industry.
Yeah.
I adore my industry. The work that we do changes people's lives in ways that we may never know.
Yes.
And I love marketing and marketing strategy and branding and the power of branding and all that goes into all of that. I love that. I mean, I'm a visual individual. I mean, I believe in the power and the emotion of design and connection, and my chops from a digital perspective could not be stronger,
Yes.
you
And
know?
it serves what you're speaking about now, the digital
Yeah.
EQ. I mean, what you
Hmm.
did is the foundation of what it is that you're speaking on.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So, I can tell a story about that. There were a couple things that happened at the same time. I think that to your point about success, what does it mean? My business was 2012 to 2015 on $1 million run rate. Vroom. And I wasn't prepared for that.
Okay.
And my father passed away, and all of a sudden I went, what the hell am I doing?
Mm.
And it didn't feel fulfilling anymore.
Okay.
And I left the
Okay.
business.
Different
Yeah.
life stage after your dad
Yep.
passed. And
Yep.
it's interesting. Sometimes we fear making a mistake. We fear failing, but sometimes success can be something that we get twisted up about too.
Oh, indeed. Right? Somebody told me a long time ago, be careful that you don't create a company you don't want to work at. You know, like don't, you be careful. You might create a company that you don't want to work at because the model that we have in our head, it, well, let me just rephrase that. The model that I had in my head was get an office, get an executive assistant, get a project manager, paint the walls brown, have cool Asian lanterns, da 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 da, right? And then grow, 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 and push,
Yeah.
push, 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 push. That was the model,
And you
and
did.
and I did, and then no, not for me anymore.
Okay, not it,
No.
not it
Yeah.
anymore. And that's a
Mhm.
choice. Okay,
Yep.
shut it down. That could be perceived as a sacrifice. I'm going to take this that I've worked and put so much of my heart and energy into, and I'm going to shut it down because it's not serving me anymore. Um,
Yes.
so let me ask you, in my opinion, there is no success without sacrifice. You do make sacrifices.
Yep.
Um, but when you make a sacrifice and understanding the reason why you're making a sacrifice, it has a different feeling to it. Um, that it's less of a sacrifice. For instance, anytime that I go speaking, when I come back, I have to distance from my grandbaby for 7 days. And, but what I do, what I am called to do has meaning. And therefore, when I take a gig, I make sure it's aligned with me and
Yeah.
aligned with my mission, um, to empower and help women and emerging leaders advance to the next level. And I do it knowing that I am making a sacrifice, that I'm not going to be able to pinch his little cheeks for, 7 days. And yet it has made me understand that there are certain things that I protect. What do you protect at all
Whew.
costs?
Oh, golly, golly, golly. Um, I have a comment, by the way, about the whole kind of sacrifice kind of thing. So don't let me forget. I'm going to ask me about the teeter totter in a minute.
Okay.
I'm going to put it down here. I don't even know how to spell teeter totter. It's more like tater totter, tater tot. Okay. There's a success. There's a sacrifice. So what do I protect at all costs?
Mhm.
Um, so I love my mom. She's gone now. My mom
Mhm.
gave me this
Sorry.
amazing um, joie de vivre. She taught me how to dance. She was doing jazzercise, by the way, before jazzercise ever was a thing.
Love
Scott Joplin
jazzercise.
and right, I know, so hilarious. Scott Joplin and support hose and leotards. I just have visions of her when she would dance with her thumbs up like this. It was so adorable. And she had a love of a good casserole, and she also had a short neck, which I envy those people who have long necks who can wear turtlenecks, because I go into like Ann Taylor this time of year and they have all these beautiful turtlenecks and I'm always like audibly, thank you, mom. And people are like, but she also sadly gave me the gift of arthritis. So so that creates this deal in my body. Also, sadly, my mom spent the last 10 years of her life in an assisted living facility. And I don't really know why, except for that her body just gave up. And so I am driven, driven to move my body every day, driven to move my body every day. So I walk. Yesterday, I think I got in 7.5 miles. The day before was like 6. I do Pilates. I passed on it today, but normally 3 times a week. Moving my body is um, one of the ways that I help point myself in a different direction than the path um, that my mom chose
Okay.
to kind of be in her life. So yeah, so I protect. Even when I'm traveling, Debbie, I walk. I mean, I'm one of those weird people in the airports when everybody else is going up the escalator. I'm doing the stairs. Like in Chicago, I'm going up the stairs.
Okay.
Don't like going down the stairs so much, but I do. I go down the stairs.
Okay.
And I have to like concentrate really hard going down the stairs. But yeah, I protect that
And a lot of
totally.
people struggle with that, with their health and fitness. They crawl into their work, they're traveling a lot, they're working long hours, they're taking care of everyone and everything else other than themselves. What are some of the strategies that you use to make sure this gets in? What is the mindset, or what are the practices to make sure that this gets in?
Well, this is kind of, I'm always an early adopter of technology. So it's just kind of who I am. And I heard about a Fitbit years ago. And then I heard about it 3 times. And when I hear about something 3 times, I go, mine, me. And so I heard about a Fitbit. And at the particular time, I was probably 20 pounds heavier than I am now. So, um, and and still like doing yoga or whatnot, but not really kind of, not, I don't know. So certainly was very voluptuous, let's just say that. And I just put a
You
Fitbit
still are,
on.
honey,
I put a Fitbit on
in a good
and
way.
I said to myself, and I got a scale, which I never had done before. And
Mm.
I got a Fitbit and a scale, and I said to myself, all I'm going to do is look at the numbers. I'm, I'm not, I'm just going to look at the numbers every day. That's all I'm going to do. And, I would look at the scale and, okay, looking at the numbers and looking at my Fitbit and looking at the numbers. That's all I did. And then all of a
So
sudden
does
you're like,
that
well,
mean not judging the numbers, not having
yeah,
feelings about the numbers, just looking at the
yes.
numbers? It's
Yes,
okay.
which is a really great thing for me to remember because strangely, I didn't get the COVID, whatever. But recently, there's like 5 extra pounds that I'm going, what is going on here? I'm blaming it on my hair because it's really long. So, but I just looked at the numbers, and what happened for me was I went, well, if I'm trying to get to, because the number everybody says 10,000 steps a day. Well, then why am I parking my car and spending an extra 10 minutes of my life in the Costco parking lot trying to park close to the door when I need 10,000 steps? I'm going to park my car out at the thing because I'm going to get an extra 1,000 steps or whatever. And it just started happening. And then it started happening, and then it started happening. And I was getting about 3 miles in a day. And then I also started doing Pilates as a physical therapy post back surgery. And I remember when I was doing yoga, this gorgeous man who was an attorney at the, firm that I used to work with was Mr. Yoga. And he said, my body really changed with yoga. And when I started doing yoga 3 times a week, and I went, I'm going to do yoga 3 times a week. So then I went to
With
myself,
him.
yeah, exactly. Who wouldn't want to? Golly, golly. Whew, peppery hair. Yeah, tall. Anyway, so I went, well, wow, I wonder what would happen if I started doing Pilates 3 times a week. So I did that. And then, when I was running, and people, we would always get together on the weekend and go for a longer run. And I went, well, why on the weekends am I not going for a longer walk? And so I started going for, instead of a 3 mile walk, I started going for a 5 mile walk on the weekends. And then I went, well, why am I not just doing a 5 mile walk every day? So it just started a little bit at a time
Mhm.
over a long period of time.
Okay. And
And
added to
and
it incrementally.
yeah.
Okay.
And so now, I mean, you for those of you listening on the podcast, I have a Fitbit and the Apple Watch.
You do.
People are like, what? Because they're different. And one tracks the other thing. Yeah. So it was a process fueled by curiosity. I'll
All
say
right.
that.
And having curiosity is something
Indeed.
that kind of takes the pressure off. If you're just curious
Yeah.
about it, then it's not, I have to. It's just like, okay, what
Right.
would this be like if I got up 30 minutes earlier, if I walked an extra mile?
Yeah.
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 So let me also ask you, I want to shift just a little bit. You know, as we go through life, as we go through our careers, as we're in and out of chapters and things like that, there are usually some significant lessons that are left behind for us to consume. What from where you started to where you are now, are the bigger lessons that have really come through to you, that have stuck with you, that you would share with the audience?
Hilarious. Um, I'm not in corporate America anymore, for a variety of reasons.
Mhm.
But one of them is that I create a big wake,
Okay.
right? That that I'm not aware of the wake I create. And that can be good, and it can also be, challenging for those around me. So when you said lessons, I just see this big wake. Like, I had a friend the other day on a call describe herself as the Kool-Aid man, just knocking stuff over as she walked through, not really knowing what was happening. And that would be me in corporate America, perhaps, maybe. But I think that the here's one big lesson that I continue to live for myself. I think now, when I started in financial services, it was 1994. And I had no idea, very similar to my experience in, delivering newspapers, that it was a male dominated industry. I had no idea. And then in 1998, when I got into sales, I went out there and I went, where are the ladies? Did not know. And so I've never had a role model,
Mm. Okay.
um, because there have not been many women in my path. I'm 60 now, and there are not many women in my path.
Right.
The reality of the situation in financial services that oftentimes, and I'm not the only one, that we leave mid-career because we're like, I
Peace
see
out.
the writing on the wall. This requires too much sacrifice, and the return on success is not going to be there for me.
Mhm.
I'm out of here. And so there weren't very many role models. And so also that idea, and then my mom and my parents, I say not aging well. So my parents were not married, um, uh, you know, and so each one of them aged alone. And
Mhm.
my father passed away, and then my mom passed away within, I think, 18 months of themselves. And I look to my mom in particular, because I am I am my father's daughter, but I am my mother's daughter. And I look at that, and what I know is that if I keep looking at that, regardless of what I say,
Mhm.
I'm gonna be there.
Mhm.
It's like driving a Vespa. Do not look at the shrub. You
Yeah,
want to
you'll end up
turn.
in the
Don't
shrub.
look at the shrub. I know
Yeah,
this. I've ended up in the
because you've done
shrub.
it.
Yes, because I'm like, I don't want to hit that shrub. I don't want to hit that shrub. And I don't look at the turn. So I've been looking around for women who give me a vision of what it's like to age. And
And I think
um
that's
and
important, and especially for
mhm,
women to be able to
yep,
see what is
yeah,
possible. Yeah.
yep. And I have decided that I am my own role model.
Nice.
Yeah. That
Great.
is right. That is what I continually feel called to do for myself,
Okay.
for sure. Yeah.
And as a byproduct, I'm sure that you are inspiring others. You are showing up as a role model for others who also didn't have it. What
Well,
a fun trip.
it's hilarious because I took myself, there's this really cool place in the Pacific Northwest, um, up on the Columbia River. It's called the Gorge Amphitheaters. And I'd never been there for a concert, and I took myself there for a concert, like by myself, camp there, whatever. I don't care. And I'm walking through with my Stetson hat on and, my long sweater. It's kind of like my Stevie Ray Vaughan look. And
There you
these
go.
two girls, these two girls are behind me or whatever. And you have to quick drink your drink before you go in, obviously. And they're like, we want to be you when we grow up. And I'm like, do you realize you just told me I was old?
It was a compliment.
Yeah. Right. Right?
Oh my goodness.
Exactly.
So,
Exactly.
Sheri, will you please share how the audience can connect with you, how they can find you, more about what it is that you do to help professionals in financial services? I would love for you to share that with them.
Cool. Let me just tell you quickly, take the tater
Oh,
tot
teeter
slash
totter.
teeter
Yes.
tot. You know, when you ask about the idea of success and sacrifice, it's kind of
Mhm.
like this joke and that they only talk to women about, which is work-life balance. I just want to always go, no.
It's a
And
bad word.
and yeah, I don't get it and why it's
I don't
only
either.
women.
Balance is
Let's
hard.
just
Balance is
yeah.
hard. Yeah.
Indeed, imagine yourself on a teeter-totter in the
Mhm.
middle and having it perfectly balanced. That is really hard.
Yeah.
Now, I could do it because I'm a badass paddleboarder. However, it's very challenging. But if you lean a little bit to one side and then a little bit to the other side, and you just kind of breathe and move back and forth, it's not as challenging. So I kind of feel like that's the same way with success and sacrifice.
Mhm.
Doesn't have to be either or, I don't know. I believe that possibly it might just be sometimes you lean into kind of like I'm gonna just push myself on the success button for a while, which
Yeah.
is where I feel I am right now.
Mhm.
And I spent like a lot of time walking and Pilates and paddleboarding. Perhaps maybe I could not do so much of that. So anyway, yes, you can find me at sherifitts.com. By the way, that's Sheri with one R, SHERIFITTS.com is where you can find me. And my new website hopefully will be up by the time everyone looks at it. So that will be cool and fun. Yeah.
Nice. Well, we will make sure that we include that in the show notes, as well as how you can get a hold of Sheri so that you can learn more about this fascinating woman. Perhaps she'll be a role model for you in the future. Or
Hilarious.
maybe you'll want to be her when you grow up.
Exactly.
Whatever the case may be, Sheri welcomes it all. So I appreciate each and every one of you being here today. It's always a pleasure. And until the next time, here is wishing you all the clarity that you deserve. Have a really great day, and bye-bye for now.
Good one.